I'm here with Craig Hallworth, the CFO of Gunnison Copper. Craig, good to have you.
Bill, so lovely to be here. Thank you.
That's great. It's good to see you. I hope you're enjoying the Pre-PDAC as we're here today with Red Cloud. But interested in learning more about Gunnison Copper itself, the Gunnison project, and the Johnson Camp mine. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. You've got a lot of news. Could you maybe start with Gunnison Copper and then the Gunnison project itself?
Well, Bill, there's been a lot of exciting developments this year. It was in Q4 2024, only a few months ago, that we launched the open pit design for the Gunnison deposit. This was really big news. If you followed this company in the past, it was previously known as Excelsior Mining. And the Gunnison deposit, which is an extremely large deposit in southern Arizona, it's a pure copper play. It was being pursued under something called in situ leaching technology. This technology is something that is not as widely used as open pits. Everyone is familiar with open pits. It's a very traditional technology. When the previous company decided to continue with the in situ leaching, there was some problems that were encountered. And unfortunately, that led to a large devaluation in the company's stock price. This has provided an amazing opportunity for new investors into the stock today, because it was only in November that we acquired the final land that was needed to unlock the Gunnison open pit. And we went to the market, and we are now in the market getting this story out.
So you've taken it to the point here where you've got an after-tax NPV of 1.3 billion, IRR of around 21% on $4.10 copper, something in that area. You've got there's a significant gap here between this after-tax NPV and your market cap. What are the steps to close this? How do you narrow this gap?
Well, the way I think of it is, to kind of put it in simple terms, is we're going to be producing 170 million pounds of copper a year. That's a significant amount. If you take a $4 per pound copper price, and if you subtract our $1.94 per pound sustaining cash costs, you're looking about $340 million per year in free cash flow. That's millions of dollars going into the local Cochise County economy. That's tens of millions of dollars going for taxes into federal and state economies. And that's generating hundreds and hundreds of jobs. So it's a very significant project that we're discussing here.
No, sir, please go.
In terms of getting this message to the market, this is something that takes time. We were using the in situ leaching technology for many years. And it was only a few months ago that we pivoted to this new open pit design. So it's just taking time, Bill, to get this message out. That's why we're doing media like this, and we're talking to investors and conferences. And we think the market's going to understand soon the value that is available here for this re-rating that we expect to happen.
And what role does being in Arizona play in that, in terms of permitting and processing moving along? I mean, Arizona is a favorable jurisdiction, mining positive jurisdiction. What role does that play, location, in terms of your progress?
So this is a fantastic time to be in Arizona, especially for us, because we're completely made in America. From the ore all the way up into our finished product, which is finished copper, it's all made in America. And this copper is going to be sold directly into the US supply chains. We have explicitly in our offtake agreement with our offtaker that it must be sold to US businesses in the manufacturing, energy, and defense supply chains. And we want to make sure that this copper goes towards this new revolution that's happening inside America, which is producing goods in America. So providing this critical material, copper, we think that we're well positioned to reap the benefits of any potential government stimulus. For example, the US government backed us already. The Department of Energy gave us a grant of $13.9 million that we expect to monetize into cash later this year. And I think that sends a clear message to people, as we were the only copper project that was selected to receive this grant, that we are an excellent project, and the Department of Energy and the Internal Revenue Service have looked at all the details and said, this is a great project.
Well, I mean, and that's Gunnison focused.
This is, I'm talking about Johnson Camp Mine with this tax credit.
Right.
But in terms of Gunnison, it will be the same type of stimulating environment that will help Gunnison. because being in Arizona, Gunnison is also going to be creating copper 100% made in America. So while Gunnison did not receive this award from the IRS, it is going to be subject to any stimulus that the government puts in place.
But okay, with respect to the Johnson Camp mine, then it's not just the government that recognizes the virtues there. You've got this partnership with Rio Tinto, with Rio Tinto's subsidiary Newton there. Can you talk about the significance of that in terms of, you know, developing it? I mean, having that kind of dual endorsement is...
I think that Newton's investment was a game changer for the company. You know, for them to come in and say that the Johnson Camp mine, this is the one that they want to showcase and demonstrate their groundbreaking new technology in sulfide leaching. If you talk to smart people in the industry, metallurgists and others, you know, they all tell me that they believe that Newton is the one. This is the technology that's going to finally unlock sulfide leaching. Sulfide leaching, if you don't know, this is something that you can more cheaply and more cleanly produce sulfide copper. You don't need to build a big concentrator. You don't need to have a wet tailings with all the risk. You don't need to send concentrates over to Asia with all the cost and other baggage. And so it's really a holy grail almost, this technology. And for them to select our Johnson Camp mine project as the vehicle for them to demonstrate it was really a really good stamp of approval from Newton.
And what should we be watching as we go through 2025 in terms of progress, Gunnison and Johnson Camp mine? What should investors be looking for in terms of key milestones and to sort of grade your report card, as it were?
Yep, absolutely. We've got a lot coming up. So in 2025 for Johnson Camp mine, first we'll be putting out this spring a technical report that will give the market a better understanding of the kinds of free cash flows and the number of years of mine life they can expect to see. At the middle of the year, we'll be into first production. And towards the end of the year, as I mentioned, I expect us to monetize the 48C tax credit, the $13.9 million, and receive that in cash before the end of the year. On the Gunnison side, we've identified in the PEA several key opportunities. We believe that there could be very valuable byproducts that we didn't include in those economics you mentioned earlier. We believe that of the overburden, that's the material that you mine on top of the ore body, that the gravel and also the limestone that's in there could be saleable products. We could be looking at hundreds of millions, even up to $1 billion or more in additional revenue from that material if we're able to monetize it. And at the present, not a single dollar of that is included in the economics in the PEA. So we're going to be doing some studies to advance that and a few other key studies. We call it the High Value Add Work Program. We'll be publishing that publicly by mid this year. So I expect to see by mid this year a lot of great improvements in the Gunnison economics based on these studies. As the year progresses, towards the end of 25, we'll be starting our pre-feasibility study and also our permit amendments. I didn't mention earlier, but the Gunnison open pit is fully permitted today under in situ leaching technology. That means we only need to do permit amendments to get it ready for open pit. And that's something that we're going to be starting this year.
Fantastic. That's a great upgrade, a great update, Craig. Thank you very much. Craig Hallworth, CFO of Gunnison Copper. Gunnison trades on the TSX as GCU.